Hello everyone, and welcome to the Mindfulness guided meditation. We're here to support each other in our formal mindfulness practice. So your presence counts, and I'm delighted to be sharing 10 minutes guided meditation on the breath. And right now I'm visiting you from New Zealand. I'm also going to say a few words on being versus doing. And for those of you who have studied some mindfulness, you'll know that it's about being in the present moment, being here with compassion, with acceptance, setting aside the judging mind and allowing our experience to be just the way it is. So I invite you to be gentle and kind with yourselves with this practice. It takes some discipline, but it's useful to be light-hearted, warm-hearted with our mindfulness meditation practice. I have a beautiful Tibetan bowl here. And when we're ready, I invite you to adopt a dignified posture, closing our eyes for 10 minutes mindfulness of the breath. Coming into the moment through the physical sensations of sitting. Exploring those places of touch, of contact, of pressure. Entering the world of the senses, feeling our body sitting rather than thinking about it. Maybe aware of our feet, where they're resting. Exploring the places of warmth, of touch, of numbness. Picking up the detail. And by coming into the body in this way, we come into the moment. Coming home in a way. settling into the now. And then we invite our attention to the breath. Changing nothing. We simply observe the natural flow of the breath. The gentle rise and fall. The sensation of touch between our clothes and our skin. Aware of how the body feels as it's breathing. We may be aware of the belly moving. The air passing in the nostrils. Sometimes flowing more freely in one side than the other. Softening into the practice with warmth and kindness. Letting go of the idea of doing anything perfectly. You're here, you're meditating. You're already doing something of great value. Practicing being in the moment without judgment, attentive to the subtle physical sensations in the body. Aware of the breath moving, the caress of air, the gentle rise and fall. movements in the chest, in the back, in the shoulders and the belly. And bringing the mind back kindly when it wanders. Attentive to the finest and most subtle physical feelings present. Being here with ourselves, attentive and kind, experiencing each breath as it flows in and flows out. Being with our own particular level of focus, our own mood of the moment. And our own thoughts that arise. Which we notice and then leave as we come back to paying attention to the gentle flow of the breath. Noticing this breath and this one. And with extra warmth and kindness, we observe the breath all the way in and all the way out. Attentive and kind to ourselves, bringing the mind back when it wanders, and knowing that's just what minds do. It's not a failing. It's part of meditation to notice thoughts and come back to the point of focus, to the breath. And just a few more breaths in mindful awareness. Allowing the moment and ourselves to be just the way we are. And when we're ready, opening our eyes and being aware of that transition to having a little yawn or a stretch, if you need one. Now, the doing mind versus the being mind. The doing mind works with concepts and ideas and memory, and it's very useful for getting things done. If we had to focus on tying our shoelaces every time, then it would be very time consuming. So there are certain tasks that we do automatically, and while we'd like to be aware moment by moment, there is a place for the doing mind to take charge and for us to operate out of habit. For example, if we want to cook dinner and the fridge is empty, the doing mind will notice the empty fridge and the empty tummy and take us to the supermarket and do the shopping and come home, make dinner, eat dinner and wash up. And so there we are. A task is completed by the doing mind. And that's based on past experience of how to do the shopping and what it means to have an empty fridge and so on. And so that's very useful when we're going about our day-to-day tasks of achieving. However, when we're dealing with an emotional state, the doing mind can be less useful. In fact, it can lead us off into negative spirals if we're not careful, because it tends to make judgments and bring up warnings. And if we're feeling, say, sad or anxious or low, then the doing mind will very busily go about the task of warning us of all the things that we need to be, aware of, like exhaustion and burnout. And before we know it, we started off feeling maybe just a little bit low or tired, and then we're on the edge of feeling exhausted and burnt out because the doing mind has been sort of over-enthusiastic with its job. So when it comes to emotional states, it's much more useful to engage the being mind. Now, the being mind doesn't work with concepts and ideas and memory. It works with the raw material of the now. So it's dealing with our direct experience and And if we engage the being mind when we're feeling sad or low or anxious, then we find we can just be with that state without the judgments and without the catastrophizing. And in that way, we can mindfully engage with the present moment, and we won't spiral into dark places, because so often if we're in the doing mode and we're believing those thoughts as real, the warnings and so on, then we can very soon find ourselves going down a negative path. Whereas with being mind, we're in a much safer place, just allowing what is there to be there. And I invite you this week to use the appropriate mind for the appropriate task. So enough doing and getting our jobs done, and remembering to engage the being mind more often, because we do tend to overemphasize the doing mind and forget that it's valuable to just be, especially when we're dealing with emotional states. So thank you for being here, and I'm flying back to Europe tomorrow, so I look forward to seeing you next Thursday for another shared mindfulness practice where I'll be a little bit more awake. Have a mindful week. Bye-bye for now.